Good morning, dear students of class 8. Welcome to the English online learning class. Today we are further going to continue with the lesson The Great Stone Face Part 3. Now a quick recap of what we did in the previous class. Ernest is having a word with his mother. Ernest is a small boy. And one afternoon, when the sun was going down, mother and the little boy Ernest, they are sitting at the door of their cottage and they are talking about the great stone face. Actually, the great stone face was a work of nature. It was formed on the perpendicular side of the mountain. And seen from a distance, it resembled the features of a human face. The people of that valley believed that the prosperity of the valley was because the great stone face was watching them. And there was a prophecy, a saying, that one day a man resembling the great stone face was going to come back to this valley. Now, mother told her little boy Ernest about this prophecy. Now, this prophecy was told to Ernest's mother by her mother. And people in the valley, they waited for years for this man to appear who resembled the great stone face. And Ernest also hoped that such a day would come. Now, after his work, Ernest, as years passed on, from a little boy, he grew into a young man. Now, he considered this great stone face as his teacher. After he finished his work, he used to sit and look at this great stone face for hours together. And it gave him a kind of inspiration. Now there was a rumor that a man resembling the great stone face was coming to the valley. And this man, as a young boy, he had left the valley and he had settled at a far seaport, and his name was Gathergold. So when this man came on the carriage and he got down from his carriage, Ernest also looked at this man. But people were shouting, saying, "Here comes the great Mr. Gathergold." But when Ernest looked at this man, he looked very old man with yellow skin. He did not resemble the great stone face. Now, Ernest looked at the great stone face. It seemed to reply to Ernest that don't worry. This is not the man, but a man who would resemble the great stone face would definitely come to the valley. So he should wait. Now let us continue further. The years went on and Ernest grew to be a young man. He attracted little notice from the inhabitants of the valley. They saw nothing remarkable in his way of life, except that when the labor of the day was over, he still loved to gaze upon the great stone face. Now, years they rolled by and Ernest became a young man. Nobody was attracted to him because he looked very ordinary. But once his work was finished, he used to look at the great stone face. Because Ernest was industrious, kind and neighborly. These were his qualities. He was hardworking, he was very kind, and he was good with his neighbors. He had a good understanding with his neighbors. They did not know that the great stone face had become a teacher to him, and that the sentiment which was expressed in it would enlarge the young man's heart and fill it with deeper sympathies than other hearts. But nobody knew that the great stone face was actually his teacher, and they did not know that from this would come a better wisdom than could he be learnt from books. So actually all these qualities that he had gained was from the inspiration of the great stone face. Neither did Ernest know that the thoughts which came to him so naturally in the fields at the fireside were of a higher tone than those which all men shared with him. A simple soul, simple as when his mother first told him the old story. He beheld the marvelous face looking down the valley and still wondered why its human likeness was so long in coming. But he still believed the story that was told by his mother, that one day a man resembling the great stone face would come. And he wondered why this man was taking so much of time. By this time, poor Mr. Gathergold was dead and buried. His wealth, which was the body and spirit of his existence, had disappeared before his death. Since the melting away of his gold, it had been generally agreed that there was no great likeness after all between the ruined merchant and the majestic face upon the mountain. So Mr. Gathergold stayed in the valley and he died also. He was buried, his wealth was finished, and people also noticed that he had no qualities of the majestic face which was shown upon the mountains. And everyone forgot about Mr. Gathergold. Now we are going to stop here, and in the next class we will continue further. Till then, have a nice day and take care.